And welcome to Life Clarifications with Natasha. I'm a psychic medium who enjoys really helping you through your life. I am one who sees a lot of different things, so I work in many different platforms and working with a lot of different beings in our life. And today's show, I was going to talk about the elements that we have, because of the fact that we're going to have a lot of different interactions with our lives on in how things are going to be coming forth. And so on these shows that I do with Life Clarifications with Natasha is about how we can work a little bit better with our life being more in alignment with ourselves, right? So, going forward in our life and managing our life and doing what we're doing, many times we don't understand why things are happening. So, with that, why do things happen with our bodies? Why do things happen with our minds? Why do things happen with, like examples of I'm going to show you in the show of how things can affect us, and but we don't understand really what they're doing, right? So with that I really enjoy being here to support you. Now, this show is just a highlight of things I can help you with. Now, if you have a private session with me, I can help you work through a lot of these situations in your individuality, right? So if you would like to know more about me, you can go to my YouTube channel, Natasha Venter, Angelic Clarifications. You can go to my website, angelicclarifications.com, and or you can Google me, Natasha Venter, and I'm even on podcasts because this show will be on a podcast. So with that I enjoy helping you. This is my life calling. I very much value everybody else's belief systems. I'm here to give you a perspective. And this perspective is something to add to your knowings. So it's not for me to override your own truth system or anything like that. It's for me to support you in your dance of life, right? So with that I have been dealing with a lot of different things and working through things. And if you watched my video yesterday, you would have caught me in a just spontaneous moment, right? Where I had this rainbow, the rain was coming down and the sun was shining, and I was walking underneath a metal arbor, and it just hit me how much the elements really affect us. And I know, like, if you're in California, where it's usually drier, you're getting bombarded by rain and there's floods everywhere because the ground, earth, doesn't know how to absorb the water, right? So when things get out of balance, then things get awry. Things get very much out of networking, right? So if you get into ground like here in the Northwest, we have ground that really, my water table is like at 25, 26 feet, right? Because we're in a river basin. So with that our water table is pretty high, but that doesn't mean we don't still flood, but we flood differently. We don't have surface flooding. We have inner ground flooding. We have where the rivers swell because the ground can't absorb any more water. Where, like in California, the water is running off the earth, right? Because the ground, earth, doesn't know how to absorb. So when we're talking about elementals, and I talk about elements like they're alive, because everything, for me, in my understanding, has an energy. And if we talk about the energy of things, a table that used to be real wood tree still has that feel of aliveness. Now, some of the antiques that we have, you can feel some earthness to it, right? There's that feeling of depth. There's a heaviness to the wood. If you get some of these made woods, tables, there's still a heaviness to them, but it's a different kind of feel. They're not feeling so solid, or they're not feeling so real, I'm going to call it. Okay. But when we're talking about the elements are something that, are connected to the fairies, they're connected to the angels, they're connected to our space system, the solar system, because we have particles of water in the solar system, right? Where is water coming from? because it's in the air. We have these different things that are around us, but when we become more alive to them, we understand how they work. And that's why I was called to do this show today, because of the fact that when we're talking about the elements of fire, air, wood, metal, and water. I think I got them all. Sometimes when you name them off, it's hard to remember them all, right? But when we're working with them and we treat them like they have a perspective of energy, then we know how to work with them. Now, I'm going to throw this idea out to you. There was one time when there was a hurricane that was coming over Puerto Rico and the those islands, right? Coming into Florida. And a lot of us prayed that the hurricane would not hit Florida. But what happened? It stalled over the islands, right? And it basically destroyed a lot of those Jamaica and a lot of those islands, right? Well, if we would have asked and we would have prayed that the hurricane would gone back out instead of stalling, that we would ask for it to move off into the ocean, shifted off into the ocean. If enough of us would have prayed that the water would have shifted off over the into the ocean and keep moving forward, it might not have stalled as bad because of the energy that prayer can do, right? We believe we've known, many of us have known that prayer has interacted with us, right? So when we're talking about that many people praying, that if we would have asked for it just to move, we wouldn't have had the problems, right? So like we were having some big fires here in Washington state. So what did I do? I asked the fire element to calm down and the water element to help come in and balance it so that the fire wouldn't feel like it had to roar so much. So I asked the elements to become in more balance so that the fires will not be so big. Let the fire element tone down, okay? Because the fire has a purpose. And this is one thing that I can see is that how we have the floodplains and we have those kinds of things. Well, I have an understanding. We have a fire plane. We have the fires that go naturally through and clean out. Now they may not happen for maybe 100 years, but like the 100-year floods, right? But we have these fire places that go because of the fact that they need to clean out the brush. It's an Earth's natural way of cleaning, right? But sadly, really sadly, we get people who are starting to build homes in these fire plains. Just like we're getting people who are altering our floodplains and moving in and living in them. Because when we alter Mother's Earth, breath in, breath out, we end up taking her earth and stifling it and getting it out of balance. So with this, that going forward in our lives, how can we create more balance in our lives? Well, I'm going to give you an example of how this worked in my life just in the last a couple weeks ago, right? As my breath needed some water, or my throat needed some water. That in Washington State, we had temperature that went down to in the teens, right? Well, in our home, we ended up having at Thanksgiving time getting our fireplace chimney redone because the bricks were going. So earth was starting to decay because brick is part of earth, right? So the brick that creates an avenue for smoke, i.e., fire, right? Well, it wasn't able to do its thing, right? It wasn't able to create fire. So when we were having really cold air, the air element and the water element was really strong, right? Oh, sorry, I'm having problems with my internet for some reason here. And so when we're going through those elements and we're going through these negotiations of elements, that my heater ended up getting out. It was starting to blow cold air. It was not being able to breathe, right? And so when my fireplace couldn't be used, my heater started going out, then our pipes started freezing, right? And so with that, then I apologize if I'm getting glitchy and my internet's kind of going a little bit awry for some reason. So I got to ask, well, Mercury's in retrograde still, so that kind of has something to do with it too. But, when we're talking about that, but what I ended up doing was I intuitively was asking my husband, "Honey, is the light bulbs on in the well house? We are on a well here." And so we're very much into nature here. And so he said, "Yes, the light bulb there's light on in the well house to keep the heat going." Well, when it got really cold, something told me, I'm intuitive, uh, to go um and to um oh, what's the word? Oh, go check the light, right? And when I did check the light, my husband only had one light bulb on for a pretty big closet. And I went, oh, that's out of balance, right? Cold air and one light bulb to create warmth in there? No. So what did I do is um I went and I got another I replaced the light bulb and did that. So what was I noticing? That the earth element was frozen, the cold air was rigid, water, because we had snow on the ground, water was being poignant and fire was being diminished, right? And so what I had to do was create a balance with more heat, fire. So what did I do? I put on more light bulbs. My husband ended up getting a heat lamp and putting it on the well house, or in the well where it was starting to freeze, right? Well, that created more balance. Well, with the heater going cold air, I was like, okay, the heating element is off in the house. So what I ended up doing was I asked energetically for the heating element. I called the heating company, right, to come and look. Well, of course, when it was cold, I was like 100th on the list. I didn't think that I was going to be called in or get help, right? Well, I ended up asking energetically the fire element, the elements, the elementals to be more in balance, right? And when I did that, when I asked the elements to be more in balance, I came down and I lit my little tea lights. I lit flames, and so I lit where I naturally do. So usually when I do my a session or something, I have candles that I light. There's about 7 that I do in this room here, and then I have about 4 or 5 that I do out in the house. So I lit fire. I didn't want fire to roar. I wanted it to be supported. So what did I do? I did little lights, little flames all through the house, right? I asked the element of fire to be more balanced with water, air, and all those. Now the heater has metal, so that would be, but I couldn't use my fireplace because it was still had the cap on. It still had the framing on to work. Hi, Kate. Thank you for watching, and thank you for Instagram for watching. So I'm live here on Instagram. I'm live here on Facebook, on my YouTube channel, and on Twitter. And if you're watching on Twitter, know that you have to go to my YouTube channel or my Facebook channel, Natasha Venter Angelic Clarifications, to be able to make a comment. I don't see comments for some reason from Twitter. So with that going forward in this dance, that as soon as I did that, I balanced out the heating, the element of fire in a safe way. I wanted everything to be safe, right? Well, guess what? I got a call that the heating company could come. The heater had been blowing cold air. It would blow heat for just a few minutes, and then it would turn to cold air. So I turned off the unit, and then when they came, they asked me to turn it back on. They couldn't find anything wrong, right? Well, I know Mercury's in retrograde, so electronics and things that are like my internet is in and out a little bit today, and things like that are prone for disruption or unease, right? So as I was working with this, they couldn't find anything really wrong. They found out that a switch actually was having problems. Well, and also that in a way that, through my different outlets of my heating, that I have closed off a little bit of my vents so that it wouldn't be blowing so hard in certain places because I have plants, I have different things around, and so I had them all kind of one on stronger, one less, all that kind of stuff. Well, the air wasn't able to breathe through the house. So there again, things were out of balance, right? Once we balanced things out, things got better. The elementals decided that they were happier. And things came, it was almost like the house's energy came breathing down, right? It came down. And so when you're looking at things, look at how things are out of balance, right? Summer, we have a bunch of fires. We have a lot of fires because the water element is out of balance. So what happens when we let me put on a sprinkler or ask for the water element to come in and give us a light shower? Sometimes we can get the balance of that. So think about that. If you're having a really rainy day, what can you do? You can maybe light a candle to create some flame to create a balance of the elementals. Because I'm going to tell you that the elementals, the fairies, the energies around us are going to wake up. We are in this avenue of, if you're not awake to the elements, if you're not awake to fairies, matter of fact, they've taken my glasses again. And if anybody has known my story, that last year I had my glasses taken like 3 or 4 or 5 times. I finally got new glasses. Well, I can't find my glasses. And I don't use glasses a lot of times in the house, but I use them for driving and for when I'm like needing to look long distances, I use them. I can't find them. And I'm like going, my eyes get tired, right? Because of the ins and outs. So with that, I'm asking the elementals to be more in balance. But I always know that like when the fairies take something of me, it's for me to get a different perspective. Kind of like the fairies ended up uh, taking my garage door opener. They like to take certain things of mine. And one is the garage door opener, another one is my glasses. Love you guys. Thank you. Please bring back my glasses. They brought back my garage door opener. The last time I used it, it was in my house. It's detached from my car, right? And so I bring it into the house and bring it out to because my garage door is detached. Um, but I couldn't find it, right? So going through a couple weeks where I would pull my car to the garage, I would just get out and get in. I wasn't gonna be upset about it. I've learned when the fairies have something, I cannot get triggered because that's a ha 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 to them. You're not learning your lesson when you get triggered. So I'm learning the lesson. How can I maneuver my life differently? How can I do things a little differently, right? Kate, and I'll answer you. I'll talk with you as soon as I get through with this story here. I know you're making a comment here. And that those elements. So where did I find after about 6 weeks, no, about 5 weeks, because I put that I on New Year's Day, I was taking my Christmas lights down, right? Well, I have Tupperware or I have bins that I put them in. Got my light bin, looked down, took the lid off, my garage door opener. Why would I put my garage door opener inside my light bin, my Christmas light bin? I don't know. The last time the fairies took my garage door opener, that it was a couple of months that I didn't find it, that I went upstairs into my spare bedroom, and for some reason I opened up the drawer to look. I was looking for something, opened it up, and here, right on top of the pillow that I have in that drawer, I have extra pillows for people who want to have an extra pillow. In that pillow or in that drawer with the pillow is my garage door opener. Right there. Why would I put my garage door opener in a drawer and shut it in there? I'm just saying, fairies like to have fun. So when things are out of balance, Like if I needed a new vision, if I needed a new knowing about life, and to trust my vision, trust my knowing, trust who I am, that even me being the psychic medium, I need to look at perspectives a little bit differently, right? So they're taking my glasses again. I'm asking them to uncloak them. I know that I got to do something here to help them, and I'll tune in with them a little bit more. So Kate, um, hi Kate. So she says here, uh, this is random, but I hope you're able to answer some, from maybe some spiritual perspective. Um, I scored or scared already ridiculously easy. I heal quickly, but I'm always left with a scar, no matter how small the wound. Okay. And then she adds, could you please see why? Could it be a deficiency of some sort? I am extremely fair skinned also, so I feel that it could be affecting also. Thank you. And actually, if you think about our skin being the element, that our skin is very much the organ. And I know for me, if you could see, I'm fair skinned too. My country or who I'm from, my DNA is from basically the whole Northern European countries, right? So I'm very fresh skin. I'm red. No, I'm not Irish, but yet I am from a lot of those areas, right? So with that, my skin can scar easily too, and part of it is that um and I know for me that if I'm not taking enough C, D, and a lot of those kinds of things, that my body, my skin does not rebound as easily. And so with and I know vitamin E is very good for those kinds of things. And so if you have a scar, if you scar easily, I know that my dad, who was a chiropractor and worked with life a lot, he would put vitamin E on his skin a lot to help with that. So, doing that, but I know that, us fair skinned people, we tend to have less of a leathered skin appearance. So, being aware of that, because the fact that I do scar easy, but I really have to make sure that I'm up on my C and up on my D and up on a lot of those things, because that's the surface of our being, right? So if your gums bleed a lot, we may be low on vitamin C. So thinking about that. So there again is another element, the vitamins, right? How can we balance those elements? I know for me that when I was doing a meditation type of thing with some friends on one weekend, that we were doing the element of earth. What was I working on? My gut, my digestive system, my colon, and my intestines, right? Because that's the earth element of us, our bones, our tissue, our knowings, right? So when we're talking about how things are, some of us have metal in us. We have sometimes our fillings, right? Some of us have had old placements of screws or something like that, and sometimes those are metal when we break a leg or break an arm or something like that. And there's that dance. She says, "Thank you for answering." So she says here, "Thank you for answering my super random question. I really appreciate that. I scar so easily, and it makes me very insecure. My father is like this also, and I think it's a lot with it. Yeah. So DNA has a lot. I'm just sneeze. Sorry. Ooh, here's it. Excuse me. Whoa, that one got me. So there's air, right? That needed to clean out something, because maybe I got some dust in my nose, right? So the elements are here to support us and help us. And you're very much welcome, Kate. I really appreciate helping you out here. I'm not going to ask really deep questions, but I will answer questions that are random like that. So with that, knowing that our DNA is an element of us, right? And then there's these elements of who we are and what we're doing. So, sorry about that. So be aware of who you are and where you're going. I don't really have a cold, but I've had a lot of dairy, and dairy is something to me that gets me very clogged up. So I apologize here. So going forward and being who we are and doing our work, that's the thing is that I did feel over the weekend, um, kind of like a little bit of sore throat. My front door is open. Huh. I guess I didn't shut it. And the element of air came in and opened my door. I'm checking intuitively to see if some energy walked in. And there was. So I'm going to have to do some house clearing after the show. So be aware. Sorry, that was random. Okay. I asked the angels to shoo whoever came in energetically as a soul come in the door. I asked the angels to brush them out because they're not a guide and they're not anybody who's here for my greater good. There we go. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Random intuitiveness here. This is what I do. This is how I interact with things. So sorry about squirreling there, but something drew my attention intuitively to my door, right? So I am actually, because it is like 40 degrees out, going to take a pause here and go shut my door. I will be right back. Okay, hold on. I apologize. There we go. There we go. So with that, plus the air is blowing a little bit out there. So I wanted to make sure that, it was a kind of a scenario there. Okay. So Kate also says, can I tell you, I've seen a spirit run by my bottom steps earlier today. I swear I seen someone in the corner of my eye that ran past the step on through the hall. Yes, things like that. If we see something out of the corner of our eye, a lot of times that's something. Okay, so what I'm going to ask you to do, because this, I feel like you are, Kate. Are you in an older building? I feel like that you're in an older building, and so I'm going to take a little squirrel moment here. That the thing when we have spirits in our house, the best thing you can do, because a lot of them are either energies that have, let's say, they're just kind of repeating energy that kind of circles back around, right? And they are part of the elements, by the way. They are part of the element, because they have to create energy. They take the energy to create who they are. And so when we have these buildings that are older or they're on older land, sometimes we have repetitive energy, spirit energy that keeps running through, right? They keep coming through the same area, and they're not good or bad. It's just called, that's kind of like on the war fields where there was an imprint of things happening, and we keep seeing the soldiers doing the same thing. Uh, yes, I believe it's an older home. My family have witnessed many spirits over the years, including some people who we believe to be family members on my mother's side. Yes, so spirit will come. We have family members that will come and visit us. I grew up in a house where there was the old 80s garb, clothing that they would wear, and they'd walk through the energy of the home. And I've had my grandfather, there's energies all around. Okay, so what I do is that when I know that there is a spirit, what did I do when I felt that spirit come in? Is I took ownership of my property. And that's the thing is that when we can take ownership of our home and ask, I have house angels. I believe in them. I asked them to work. They ushered them out for me. They ushered that energy out for me. So with that when we take energy now, when we have family members that come and visit us and that kind of stuff, they're good. Now, if they are sticking around all the time, they're not good because they need energy and they take from our energy. So that's where sometimes we're more sicker than not or that kind of thing. But when we have energies that are around us, a lot of times they're not for our greater good. And so that's where I go in and I take ownership of my property. You are no longer able to be here. I want you out. Anybody and everybody who is from the greater good of love, usher whatever is in this house out. And that's another thing I did when my heater went. I really made sure that the house was cleared. And so I basically told whoever's in this house who is causing havoc in this house and mishap, leave now. And I really was very determined. And that's where you can use the smudging. That's where you can do like ringing the bell. You can do a lot of different things to clear energy. And if you're more interested in that, please email me, Natasha Venter at angelicclarifications.com, or set up a session and I can help you out with this, right? Because I do house blessings and house clearings, by the way, and I can do this remote. So going forward and doing our work, that the energies are really going to be around us. And so we're going to notice fairies, the elementals, which are like gnomes and dwarfs and sometimes the tree people, Sasquatch, unicorns, all those elementals are going to be becoming more and more alive. And so when we're talking about the elements of fire, metal, wood, air, and water, that when we're talking about those elements, and then you add on the fae, the gnomes, the community of the cryptics, as some of the shows call them. That's not what they like to be called, by the way. Uh, we're gonna start noticing them more and more in the next couple years. This is the year for that really big. Well, last year was the big shift, but now it's gonna be that bigger shift. As I'm turning my arms here for those on the podcast, that the bigger shift of the kerklunk, that we're gonna be starting to see more star beings, more fairies, more of these energies awakening. We're going to start hearing more different dimensions more. We're going to start hearing these musics, or like I was when I was in a place just the other day and somebody said, "Do you hear that kid crying?" And there was no kid crying. So with that there's this energy that was around, and I couldn't tell this person at that time that I'm psychic and there's nobody there, but it was an energy that was there, right? I could see it, but she only heard it, right? So when we're dealing with this, remember that your loved ones, if you smell their perfume, if you smell there's some of them smoked cigars or smoked cigarettes, if there's a certain thing that they like to cook, some people like like there's a perfume like rose or something like that that a grandmother used to wear or something like that. If you get a whiff of that, that is your family member. That is somebody who is there for you. That's called the energies that are waking up. And Kate says, "Thank you, grateful for your time. You're more than welcome." So with that a lot of times when our family members and stuff come along to help us, we see them out of the corner of our eyes, that they're here for the greater good. But if they're sticking around, if energy is sticking around, if you keep getting this disrupted, that's not good. There's many times where like at one time, um, that I felt like the house was busy. I just felt like the ground was crawling. Okay, and then that's a description that I have. It felt like the ground was crawling. Well, I know that there's a lot of fairies or a lot of elementals that are ground dwellers. They're ground. It's like cats, right? They're on the ground. Well, one day I just opened the door and I said, "Everybody out! Everybody out! Go outside and play. It's now nice. Winter is over. You're done being in the house. Go outside." The next morning, after I did that, because I did that in the afternoon, I had two mushroom rings on either side of my walkway in my front yard. Fairy rings, right? And so with that me saying that it was out of balance, I had things missing. I was having disruption. I was feeling anxious. I was not feeling like my house was settled. So what did I do? I had the energies that were creating this out of the house. And then I had the thank you for telling them to do that by the fairy rings, right? So I was not wrong, is what they're telling me. So if you can, open up your mind's perception. Open up your mind's perception to know that no matter where you're at and what's going on with you, that there is love and there is this other world, this other dimensions out there. And so if you are feeling like you're not knowing what is happening, get a hold of somebody who can, right? A psychic medium, someone who's is intuitive, right? And so believing in you, believing in your story of that there is something. But start with the elements. Because I can tell you, sorry, I'm having problems today, aren't I? That, I'm talking about elements. And what is it showing with me? Right? Whew. Slow down and breathe. There I go. Did you see how I changed my energy? I was getting all caught up and I stopped and I breathed, right? So believing in how things can be more in balance. How can you negotiate the story of you? And that's by starting off. Sometimes I have little containers of water around the house, especially in summertime, because I want water to be balanced. Oh, and I'm having a tickle in my throat because of my water. So what I'm going to ask is the water in my throat and the dryness in my throat and the balance of this to come more in. The tissues, the earth. There we go. I'm going to ask, oh, metal, where are you? Metal. Oh, I have metal on my necklace back here. There. So when you're asking for balance, sometimes we can get our bodies, because what is our bodies? Earth. Some of us have metal. We have we don't necessarily have wood, right? But yet we can have a little bit of the earthiness, and wood is earth, right? And water. And a little bit of fire, because if we get always running hot, what is that fire in us, right? So if we're always very warm, we can ask for the heat element, the fire element in us to calm down. Because our body is full of elementals, elements, fire, air, water, right? Earth. So being aware and knowing that life is happening around us, the more we balance, the better balanced we are. Now, does that mean that balance is always in the center? No. Balance could be If you have more weight over here, you're going to find that balance isn't always in the middle. Whoop, can't get it to balance today. So balance might be, as I'm holding a pencil up, balance might be towards the tip or towards the eraser side. We don't know where balance is until we ask the elements to do the balancing themselves. So try that. But sometimes you have to have the physical to make sure that the elementals are noticed. Now, how much has my voice changed in the last couple minutes? How much have I calmed down this imbalance in me, right? Because I asked for balance to happen. It's kind of magical, actually, isn't it? Isn't that how magic happens? When somebody is creating magic and things disappearing. Balance. Create balance in you. So if you're feeling like the air is really cold and there isn't much, and the air is dry, what do? I add a pot of water on the stove and let it boil to create moisture in the dry air because the air is out of balance in its moisture, right? Because air needs to have a natural moisture. I do hope this helps you because we are really waking up to things happening. Now, the elements, the elementals are also our animals. And animals are going to be really awake. They're really going to come out and talk to us. I've had squirrel run in front of me a couple times already. So squirrel is about work and play, which I've struggled a little bit with. Because when you own your own balance or your own business, you have a little bit of work to do, right? So work and play. One of them had a squirrel or a nut in their mouth. So about how do I feed myself while I'm working and playing? And also to make sure that I keep my balance of myself by movement because it was running across the field or across the road from me. So how can I keep going? It wasn't stopping, it wasn't looking at me. It was running. So it was about movement. I have not been moving very well. So it's time to start moving, right? So going forward, these animals have a lot to show to tell us. So when you get an animal that like sits there and looks at you, like your dog. I'm sorry if my internet went out again. The dog, like if a dog sits there and stares at you, what can you do? Look up what dog represents. If you get your cat that sits here and goes funk on your lap and looks up at you like, I'm here. What do you need to do? Look up cat. These animals are here to help us and talk to us. So believing in the story, right? Believing in who we are, believing in what's going on. So animals are going to be really talking to us. They're part of the elementals. Animals are part of the elementals. Just like rain is part of the elementals, fire is part of the elementals, Sasquatch is part of the elementals, the mermaids, unicorns. It depends on what you're talking about, right? But for me, I understand that the fairies and the elementals of that kingdom are the star beings of this planet, right? They just decided to be on this planet. We just can't see them, kind of like how the star beings from space cloak themselves, right? So with that, and then we have the angels that are kind of in between, and they're part of the star beings too, right? They're about love, but they are here to help us and be love. There's a deeper story with that, but I'm not going to go into it today because this is a show, and this show is meant to just hit the highlights. So if you want more to find out about things, remember you can always get a hold of me and have a session with me, right? So on my show, I usually pull oracle cards for people. Okay, so I am down to the last 15 minutes here. I want to pull some oracle cards. And so the dragons are part of the elemental. So you might see dragon like beings in the sky. So dragons are coming. So if you would like an oracle called the dragons, and the fairies want to come out. So those are the two choices. So on Instagram, if you would like a card, please say which card you would like. Now, when I do oracle cards, I just shuffle and you put the intention and the cards, the energy, the elements come to the cards and they are picked for you. Okay, so if you would like an oracle card, oracle cards are something that believe in a lot of different belief systems, and so they hold that intention. I've had these cards for a very long time, and so the dragon cards less time than these fairy cards. These fairy cards have been with me for over 20 years, and so they are a part of me. They're part of the intention that I hold, which is love. And so with that if you would like a card, please let me know, either fairy or dragon. And then I will shuffle the cards and pull one for Paula, thank you. Had a rumbling last week. Dragons tonight. Yes. You have had yeah, the dragons are really calling to us, aren't they? And that's the thing is the rumbling in the ground, the ley lines are waking up. And so when I'm working with the ley lines, I ask dragons to help out. So, okay, so I'm putting in the intention, Paula. So if you can, Paula on Instagram, if you can put out the intention of what you would like to know, you don't have to tell me. It can be just the intention. Okay, it's coming. There we go. Thank you, Paula. Thank you. There we go. That feels better. It's getting a cleaner energy here. Okay, they said the last card, which was the grace. Grace came for you. Because I heard last card, and that was the last card I was holding, was grace. Isn't that a beautiful card? Grace. Okay, so I will read what Grace wants to tell you, Paula. So that's 10, 5, 16. Okay, so Grace. You are more than you can possibly imagine. You are more than you can possibly imagine. Now, remember, if I pull an oracle card for someone else and these messages resonate for you, it was meant for you too. Just somebody else asked me to pull the card for them. Okay. So, Grace says, this dragon flies into into our lives when we have been or are struggling with self-worth, self-respect, or self-love issues, or when we have been neglecting ourselves. It is time to look at ourselves and discover who we truly are. We are magnificent human beings who need to find ways to let go of our self-imposed limitations and self-limiting beliefs. Grace's words are simple. Stop it now. You are more than you can possibly imagine. You can achieve so much more than you foresee. Believe in yourself. Push the boundaries of your self-imposed limits. If you don't, you may you may let me start. If you don't try, you will never know how successful you can be. And if you perceive that you have failed, remember there is no such thing as failure, only an experience to learn from. Try again. Dragons have an issue with the word love because we continually misuse it. So they have opted instead of for grace. Let me re-say that, please. Sorry. Dragons have an issue with the word love because we continually misuse it. So they have opted instead for grace, which they tell me is more encompassing and authentic. Grace is a deep acquaintance of all that is within the without us, in within and without us. It means the end of struggle through embracing the whole of us as we truly are. I hope that made sense, Paula. So, in other words, we have been misusing love, and it's time to love ourselves. Now, when I speak of love, I speak of divine love. I speak of the love that the angels have for us, and Mother Mary has for us, that Jesus has for us, that a lot of that love. Now, when I say my love goes to you, it's divine love that's going to you. And so, with that, know that, we can't just say, I love you. No, there's more to it than that, right? So, grace, it's time to believe in ourselves. It's time to show ourselves that we matter. And that's part of those elements, right? How do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of those around us? How do we take care? How do we take care? So, grace. Thank you, Paula, for asking for the dragons. Okay, so if nobody else has spoken up that I have seen, I am going to pull a fairy card for the greater message. I'm asking for the greater message for all of us that the fairies would like to talk to us about. I'm going to actually pull a card after the show to find out where my glasses are. I've had somebody tell me they're in my couch, they're in clothes. I've not found them. This is the greater message for all. The greater message for all. Thank you, Paula, for letting me know. My reading has been a little off. My dyslexia has been going a little bit, so things have been a little bit awry that way. But try to do my better. Huh. Still don't have mine either. What do you mean I still don't have mine either? LOL. Woo! Okay, there's 3 cards that fell out. Okay, let's see. There's 4 cards. Patience, patience. Oh, glasses. You don't have yours either. Boy, the fairies are really wanting us to get a different perspective, aren't they? Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I am meant to get a different perspective. And I know that I'm supposed to start talking with the star beings more. So that's about getting a different vision too. So with that's my whole knowing. Okay, so the fairies for the greater picture is uh, practice, practice, practice. With daily practice, you can polish your skills and talents and increase your confidence. So practice, practice. I always say practice makes better. Not perfect, but better. Affirmations to lift up thoughts and energy, to be attracted and to attract what you desire. Positive affirmations, right? Positive affirmations. And I'm still doing my mantra of the week. So this week was I'm done self-sabotaging. It was about self-sabotaging. To lift up your thoughts and energy and to attract what you desire, use positive affirmations. You know, there's a difference between, oh, I got it. I am finding my glasses. Instead of saying, I can't find my glasses, I am finding my glasses. I am seeing my glasses where I can see them. I am understanding that I am to see my glasses as soon as possible in divine timing and in real timing. Positive affirmations. Leave out the knots. I don't see my glasses, but I'm going to. Positive affirmations. Okay? So, practice, practice, practice. Positive affirmations, because we can get a new understanding, a new path, a new career. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to get new jobs, but new career. So, your work focus is shifting in a positive, new, and successful direction. So believe that a new path is coming. So practice, practice, practice. Affirmations make a difference on how you create your new knowing, right? Your new path. Because movement, get some exercise helps. If we just sit there in our day and just stew, cross our arms and just stew, we're not going to get anywhere. We have to get movement. If I'm going through something stressful, I dance. I do a little bit of movement somehow to get my body moving so I can work it out, right? So to review, practice, practice, practice. Keep trying. It's okay. Failure. What did Grace tell us? Failure is not part of the story. It's about learning, right? So Grace tells us, the Dragon Grace tells us to move forward, keep moving forward, give yourself something, right? Astrology certification in a couple of weeks with Jessica on point as usual. Good job. I know Jessica's a great gift. She's an amazing gift. I don't get to talk to her as much as I want to though. Busy woman. Busy woman. Okay, so practice, practice, practice. Keep moving forward. Failure is not a part of it. I call them flubbles when I have oopses. So flubbles. Use positive affirmations because we have a new path coming if we keep moving forward. Get exercise. Okay? So believe in yourself. We've got it. Right? Oh, she said the same about you. I love that woman. I love Paula. I love her. Thank you. Thank you, Paula, for showing up. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, everyone who's watching who did not speak up. I do hope these cards helped you. I hope that my story about the elements is going to help you because the more we're in balance, the more we can get moving forward. If you're looking for any personal help, I have private sessions. I'm on my shows Monday and Friday. Dance of the Soul at 4 o'clock Pacific time, live on Facebook and on my YouTube channel. On Wednesdays, I'm usually live on Instagram and the other platforms too. Thank you very much, Paula. You are amazing also. So with that, believing in who you are, believing in what you're doing, and if you know of anybody who would like to watch or get help, please help. I can do that with them. I also do feng shui, which is about the elements of the energies of our house. Change your environment, your mindset, new affirmations. Change your world. Change your environment, your house around you. Change your world. I love feng shui. I just love feng shui. Blessings to you on this journey. Uh, if you would like to rewatch this, or please like, share, follow, whatever you can do. I appreciate the support that way. Blessings to you. See you Monday at 4 o'clock on the Dance of the Soul. And we're going to talk about um, uh, ourselves, about how we are so hard on ourselves and how we can work through that. Okay? Blessings to you. Bye now. Oop, there we go.